Hey there, today I'm covering getting DNS records out of AWS with PowerShell. Hey there, this is Tom with Tom's Tech Show, and I had a function, a need in order to get all of my DNS records out of AWS and put them somewhere where my users can see them. So one key thing when you're doing stuff in AWS as a system person, sysops, um, is to get data to your users in a format and in a controlled way that they can't actually break or change anything in AWS, right? So AWS has all of its functions, all the things that it needs to do, the web page, the API, all of that. So I don't want my end users being able to get to that. I want there to be something in between that says, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. When you log in here, you can get to A, B, and C. When you log in with this level of security, you can view everything, but you can do some, support tools and things like that. Because I have installers, I have uh, support people, I have, quality control people, all needing to get to different AWS resources, but they don't need to change everything. They don't need to be able to get into everything. I just want them to see what information they need and have that controlled. So that keeps them out of the AWS interface, that keeps them out of all that. And then it's controlled. Anything that they do is through programmatic, methods. So one thing that they need to do is know what URLs have been posted. When different systems get deployed, they need to know what the URL is that points to the load balancer, that points to the elastic beanstalk that was generated by the CloudFormation. They need to know that kind of stuff. So in order to do that, you have to use a function, particular function, to get to uh, the data, get the records out of AWS. So we need to set up a hosted zone. All this up here on the top in this script is just kind of a generalized thing. I use a database to store my credentials to get into AWS. So because I have different zones and different areas and stuff. So as you branch out, maybe you have a new account, whatever, you can do that. I have a video on how to do this to connect to AWS from a database. So if you want to look that up, that's there. But first thing we need to do, we need to get the zone, the hosted zone that's in Route 53. So I just telling it it's Tom's Tech Show, and you have to have a period on the end in order for it to look it up correctly. Then we get all the database records, or what we think are all the database records, right? Get R53 resource record set for my hosted zone, put those into a variable which creates an array of all this information. So what actually happens is it only pulls the first 100 records. So once I get there, I'm only 100 records in. So I take those 100 records, so I come down here and I do this do loop, and I process these 100 records. For each record set in my DNS of record sets, I update a database so that database can be shown to my end users. Okay. Then there's a special value in the record set that is returned, and that is next record name. So there's a value inside there called next record name, which contains the next record that you can start at to query the next 100 values. So if this record is blank, if this record is null, then you're at the end. Then I do a break and I jump out of my do loop. So if it's not blank, then I do this get R53 resource record set function again with my hosted zone and starting at the next record name. So it's telling me where to start. So I go here, it tells me where to start, and then I pick the next one and I go to the next 100. If there's more than, so you're doing this at 100 at a time. So I might then populate a database, and that shows up as this kind of database list inside the environment that allows people to get this AWS Manager application that I've written that allows people to get into and see, what environments are there, what databases are there, set up alarms, and see what DNS records are there. And it shows this is a fairly heavily redacted list, of course, but it just shows you all of different records that are there, and up here on the top, it has the date that it was last updated. You can click update, and it will go and update the table again. Now, the update part is if you wanted to do that, because this PowerShell code is called from PHP, so that update runs this Go script in PHP. I set my time limit to 300 because it's going to take a while to execute this PowerShell that gets all the DNS records. I do a shell exec PowerShell dash execution policy bypass dash no profile dash file, and then the script is my get DNS PowerShell script. And then after that is done, I relocate back to my DNS table for people to view the new updated DNS. So that's a little bit. I use PowerShell. I use the PHP to call the PowerShell, and I put up a a waiting screen in front of the user so they're not thinking it's done or not. So it's very intuitive for when the process gets completed and stuff. But you do have to do this kind of loop if you want to pull all the records out. So you need to look for the next record name and kind of key on that in a loop to populate. Either you're populating a text file to use that somewhere else to do searching, or you're populating a database of some kind. Then you need to know you need to do this kind of looping right there. Okay, so that's was a challenge, of course, to try and get through that and be able to say get an algorithm. You can't. It's hard to do a for next or a for each and not have the do loop around that function in order to continue the next 100 records. So I'm at the beginning of the thing. I do clear out the table. So I clear my database table and set the auto increment to 0 so that I'm not running out of numbers and stuff as it auto increments every record going in. But yeah, that's how you get all your records in there. If you're playing with AWS and PowerShell and everything else, and you have any questions about what functions you use or anything else, then let me know. I've used quite a bit. I've written quite a bit of a huge interface into AWS and PowerShell, and it's pretty powerful. Everything that you can do and throw things at it. So if you have any questions, just comment down below. Thanks for watching this one. Take care.